All right, welcome back to another edition of the SJHL season previews as we go across the league talking to head coaches and GMs of your favorite teams. Of course, it's presented by Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. Today is our 10th episode, and we are joined today by the newly named head coach and general manager of the Humboldt Broncos, the hometown boy himself, Brayden Klimosko. Brayden, thanks for joining us today. How's everything going as we enter preseason territory?
Yeah, it's been going well. I can't complain. It's obviously been a busy summer, obviously a little bit of a whirlwind, but looking forward to getting this started.
Yeah, I'm. Has your brain adjusted to the green and yellow? I'm comparing it to a scene out of Wizard of Oz where it goes from black and white movie to a color movie. I mean, you've been in black and white for so long, and now your world is filled with these joyous colors of green and yellow. How has that adjustment been? Like, I know obviously you started your hockey career in the green and yellow, so how has it been going back to that?
It's totally different, my whole closet's changed, Clark. I went from black, silver, white type of, clothing to now, a little bit of color involved, a little bit of green and gold. And it's obviously been an adjustment, and it's been a long 6 years. You really, Battleford was home to me for a long time, and they've treated me really well. And they're still going to be adjusting, and I just keep hoping that I keep saying, Brayden Klimosko from the Humboldt Broncos is not the Battleford's North Star. So I might make that mistake once or twice this year, but hopefully not many more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so easy to match when you have black and white and silver as your, it's such an easy colorway to match with, but you'll get used to it. I'm sure you'll figure it out. You'll be okay. Yeah. So when you got the job, I mean, when this all went down for you, obviously as a former Bronco yourself, a hometown kid, I mean, your family's from the area, but what went through your mind? Has it really sunk in yet, I guess, despite your success in the league so far? I mean, you've been in the league now as a head coach with Battlefords for the past 6 years, you mentioned, but it must have been a weird feeling altogether, just with the whole change.
It truly was, and I think people from Humboldt don't quite understand. Like, Battleford's been my home for such a long time, and they treated me so well there, and our family grew up there. From Jake when he was just born in November, my first year, to now him being in grade 1. So it's been a transition that people didn't expect, or everyone just thought it was going to be an easy decision to come home, but it wasn't. And it really shows how well, the North Stars community and Northtown City has really treated me. So I'm very fortunate to have the success I had there, but it was the relationships we built there, and the connections we had, amongst the North Star community that we're just so grateful to have. So the transition was really hard. It really was hard to move, and it's really continuing to do that as we're trying to get into our house here. We rented in Battleford. I have a place here in town, and we're in the middle of renovating. And I guess a lot of things that we never had to worry about in Battleford since we were renters, now I'm dealing with, is some life decisions and career decisions that, it's not only just about hockey now, it's more than that. So it's been busy, it's been hectic, but other than that, it's been fun. It's a whirlwind. Anywhere you go, people are congratulating you and excited, for me to be back, which is really cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a pretty surreal feeling. So let's talk about the hockey side of things now, Brayden. Obviously, last year in Battleford's, you didn't have an insider's perspective of the Humboldt Broncos, but you did have an outsider's perspective. So what did you see from the Broncos last year that has you excited about working with some of these players? I mean, they finished 37-15-3-1, a pretty solid group last year with a deep playoff run mixed in. It must have you pretty excited to kind of get in there and put your mark on it.
Definitely. I think the cool thing about it is they were, obviously just one goal away from being in the finals, and, talking to the guys that are coming back, they're hungry to get over that, that hurdle of making it to the finals. So obviously it's always exciting when now you're going into a team that's hungry to go a little bit farther, which makes my job a lot easier than them. For instance, if they would have won, now trying to make sure that they're motivated again for another year. So they're obviously motivated. They're amped up. It sounds like it's a really good group of guys that, have that are really close in that dressing room. So it makes my job a little bit easier than some other transitions potentially for other coaches that are getting into their jobs maybe. But looking forward to working with them because they seem like a very hungry group.
That's good. Now, before we talk about those returning players too much, have you been able to add any players or maybe some younger guys that are going to make their debuts this season that you're excited to see in camp that you can tell us about today?
There's lots, and I'm at this point, I've always done this in previous shows. I don't like putting anyone on a pedestal one way or the other. You're going to wait and see, and then you guys will decide from there who really stands out. And Rory, I'm sure, and Nugsy will talk about it in their noon shows on Monday. So I don't like putting anyone on any too big of a pedestal at this point. But I'm really excited about the young core we've got. Ben Motu won't be back, so we got Edward Gauthier in the net, which will be nice. He's major junior from Quebec, so he'll be a nice add in net. And obviously, other than that, it's going to be, other than Trey Fouquet, who's added in the offseason as well. But other than that, for new guys, rookie guys, that's kind of what we're going to be dealing with, moving forward for this year.
Yeah, for sure. So let's have a look at some of those returning players. You mentioned there is a group coming back. Names that pop out for me are guys like Connor Miller, who had an excellent season last year as a younger player. Jeter Cordy had a big role with Humboldt last year throughout the season. Maddox Amaral has been around for a little while now. That's just the players up front. Can you talk about some of their impacts and how excited you are to see them kind of near the top of your lineup, I guess, or however they fit into the lineup going into this season?
For sure. You name those three. You got Strizzy, you got Kaufman as well in the mix that obviously will be big point producers for us, as well as some guys that maybe, had some little bit smaller roles last year that now may get the opportunity. Your Nazareths, your Skogsteds, your Mamiches, those type of players that, I think as a role guy, your first year, you're just trying to get in the lineup, and now maybe with the fresh new eyes of myself and some gained confidence, you never know where you're going to fit in. So obviously, we're just talking about veterans. We've added a few other guys that have either been in the BC League or in Alberta last year, which obviously will kind of round out our forward group. I think it's a really deep group, which always is nice to have in the SJHL. You need more than one line to produce. And I think we'll have that here this year for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Brayden, the last several seasons with the North Stars, your blue lines have been a feature of your team. You've always had very strong blue lines, a good mix of players, good puck movers. We always raved about how quickly you guys could get the puck out of your own zone, for example. How much of that are you going to bring into Humboldt, and what kind of names can you tell us about today that you're excited to work with in that regard in terms of fitting I won't say the North Stars way because that's done now, the Brayden Klimosko way.
Right. Well, obviously, the big addition at the draft was obviously Trey Fouquet, who's going to be a workhorse for us back there. He kind of really reminds me of Cody Spaggard back a long time ago. So having a guy like that's going to be a force. And I like our veteran D in Cerro and McElwain and Knutson, as well as some younger guys like Garchinski and Kurbis. And I think Sam Sishin will be might be a Division I guy if he keeps progressing the way he is. You got a Desbro in the back end, a nice big solid kid as well. So looking forward to our D-core. I think it's a good mix of young and old and puck movers and defenders. And I think the one thing that I've told Carter Hansen here, who's we're pretty fortunate to be able to retain him through this transition, is I need guys that can move pucks, and I think he feels pretty confident in the group we have, which I'm excited about.
That's good to hear. Now, you mentioned some names in the goaltending department. Obviously, a guy like Benjamin Motu had kind of ran away with that net for the last year and a half or so with Humboldt. How many guys are you expecting to maybe bring in to kind of compete for that spot, and how confident are you in the group that you have coming in?
Yeah, we acquired Edward Gauthier, or we signed him out of Major Junior, so he'll be running with it as the starter role, and Ty Matonovich, as our backup. Bringing other guys, a couple of guys to camp to compete, but feel confident in both. I feel like we feel good about that tandem, and looking forward to seeing how they compete. Going through this camp and exhibition season, so it should be really good. And Just excited to really get everything started and kind of get settled in. It's kind of maybe the first year that I've been doing this since I've been the head guy, where I'm really looking forward to the start of September, where it actually might slow down for me as September goes compared to where it usually speeds up. So lots of things going on, and excited to be back in the ring.
So aside from the challenge of working on a daily basis with a guy like Rory McGoran, which I understand can be pretty tough. Sorry, Rory, just joking. But, getting into the business side of things, I've been asking all the coaches so far just how some of the business side has been going. How has the community kind of reacted to this on that side of things? What can you tell us about the start of the season? Are there any big things that you guys have planned, I guess, for fans as we're getting closer to the regular season?
Yeah, you know what? That'd be probably something that Rory could answer more. I think it's a busy time. It's an exciting time, I think. The one thing that I just really want, to stress from our guys is I don't want much to change. I think the program's been so, Barney's done such a great job. That's the cool part about this is I'm not going to be changing much on our end. Obviously, there's going to be minor tweaks, but I feel like if I keep doing what Barney's been doing, I feel like we're going to have a successful program. So I want it to be in some aspects just status quo, and just really get to work and to compete for another championship. So I think we'll have the bodies to do it, the tools to do it, and it looks like we've got a really hungry group, like we've said.
If the wheel's not broken, don't reinvent it. I think that's the saying. So I think that goes a long way. I think I appreciate that. So outside of a championship, obviously, every coach is going to tell me that a championship is the goal. I've been asking this question as well. What are some of your on-ice and maybe off-ice goals as well as you enter this season now? You're first with the Broncos at the reins.
I think it doesn't change, from any year. You want guys to move on to the next level, and I think that's number one. I know everyone says championship, but to have that, you need guys that are moving on to probably your Division I, your youth sport type of, scholarship. So that's number one, is getting, as many as we can. I don't want to put a number on it, but I usually like to put a good number of 4, of trying to get to that number there. I think a regular season goal, and I think we saw that, this past year with Humboldt, where if they would have got a little bit higher up in the standings, they potentially, maybe avoid a Weyburn, and then, maybe might have home ice advantage going into, those playoff rounds. So I think being as good as we can be in the regular season, where we might be able to avoid some of that, would be only beneficial going into the playoffs, because obviously home ice is a big difference maker in some series, and finishing series off a little quicker. So I think that's a big goal for us, is getting out of the gates, having a good start and then just building from there.
Well, with camp and preseason just around the corner, I know you're still working through the whole transition of the summer and everything. So, Brayden, I'll let you go. Thank you for the chat today. Obviously, we're going to be chatting with you again before too long. And best of luck. Look forward to seeing you behind the bench at the Elgar Petersen Arena this season.
Thanks so much, Clark.
All right.